Hello, I am back again. I literally just finished this on my flight today. If you cannot tell, I'm under the weather. I'm a little congested, but I'm doing all right. A lot of travel. I caught some cold and I'm getting over it now. Let me get into this. Let me tell you how I was handed a copy of this beautiful book called Shark Heart by Emily Habeck. It's her first, I think this is her debut novel. Let me check. I can literally look at this right here. This is her first novel. This is her first novel. Crazy that this is her first novel because it's good. So what happened was, I'm in book club. I read for fun, but I'm also in a book club to read with other people at the same time. I like to read, if you hadn't gathered. And in my book club, this got voted in. We do a vote. Everyone can suggest books throughout the month, and then at book club we vote on the books. And then the librarian gets a bunch of copies of them, and we get them the next month. Very standard procedure book club situation. When this got voted, I was like, maybe I'm not going to read it. So we voted 2 books in, so people like to choose. Sometimes people read both if we have like a longer time between meetings. So it was this one and then 3 Dahlias, which I will be reading next. And I went to the library to grab my copy of the 3 Dahlias, and I was just going to skip reading this. So I go, and my librarian, bless her, she's wonderful, but she judges a book. Like, she knows what's good. She knows what's up. She gives her opinion freely. When she was like, you're going to want to read this, I sat and I read this in one go. She was like, I wasn't too keen on the concept. Shark, this guy's turning into a shark. Like, she was like, she doesn't like fantasy. So she was like, no, I'm not doing this. So she was like, I just wanted to read a couple pages to figure out, like, who are the characters so I can write some questions for us to discuss at book club. She goes, I sat and I finished it in like 2 nights. And another person in my book club was like, I finished it in like a week. I was like, okay. And everyone was like, and it was so good. I was sobbing. I was crying. I was absolutely in love with the characters. I was like, this is a book. If you haven't heard about this online, by the way, there's a lot of talk in circles about this book online. It's about a man who's turning into a shark. And to me, that's a little absurd. It's a little too absurd for me. And it's like about, how his life changes because, it's about the sharkification of man. He's turning into a shark. And I was like, it's a love story. It's like a romance, sort of. Yeah, I don't really know. And I'm like, it's a shark. He's turning into a shark. Like, I don't really, I would rather read the other book club book. When my librarian and my friend told me, they were like, you're gonna be skeptical, but they're like, if you go in and take this as seriously as it's written, you're gonna love this book. And I'm like, fine, I'll read it. I start reading it on the plane. I'm 200 pages in by the time the plane lands. I live in London, I went to Munich. That's an hour and 37 minutes of just, and I read that's a lot for me. I don't know what normal amounts of pages are, but that's a lot. To be fair, let me try not to spoil too much. The spacing is like pretty like wide set for some of the pages. You get like more scripty stuff, and you'll understand why if you read this book, which you should read this book, because this is art. This is a masterpiece. Like, I freaking love this book so much. There's things that I got mad about, and there's things I cried about, and there's all sorts of emotion that happens in this book. But like, if you go in taking the premise as seriously as the characters in the book do, which is a high caveat because not for everyone that doesn't work, I think you would enjoy this book. I genuinely think this is a book that everyone can relate to because it touches a lot on, chronic illness and terminal illness and all these things. And pretty much everyone knows someone who's gone through that or suffered, through that, or, has known someone who has lost someone to a terminal illness. This book, read it, recommend it to them, recommend it to everyone you know, read it. in all your book clubs. I freaking love this book, and I really didn't want to. Like, I really went into this like, okay, I'm gonna be the contrarian in book club who's like, guys, really, we read a book about a man who's turning into a shark. Who voted for this? But now that I've read it, I'm like, God damn it, I should have voted for this. So that's Shark Heart. It's so good. I don't even know what else I usually say in these videos. To be fair, I am under the weather, but it's so good. And it's like just well done. The characters are well rounded. There's not a lot of characters in the book, so you kind of really get to know the characters that are here. It's a lot of emotions. It's a lot of it's just it's so good. I cried on in public places. I cried while reading this book. I cried on planes, on trains. I cried in cafes. I cried multiple times reading this book. And not like sad, like, well, some of them were sad tears. And that's not even a spoiler, because the first 100 pages and you know it's going to be sad. It's kind of set up that you know what's going to happen in this book. And I didn't mind that because it was done so well. And I'm sad now just thinking about it. I literally just finished this book and I didn't want it to be over. I haven't had that feeling on a book in a long time. Like, I got to the end of the book and I was like, no, I want more. I'm not ready to let go of these characters. Like, it's just so sweet. And Emily Habeck this is a wonderful piece of work. Like, I never would have thought to do something like this. She did such a good research. The characters are so well done. Like, and this is her debut novel. I cannot wait to see what she writes next. I will be reading it because this was so well done. This was immersive. She put us in a world, and the concept is absurd. Turning into a shark is absurd. That being a common genetic disease, absurd. But she did it in such a way that I couldn't question it anymore at some point. I couldn't be like, yeah, but this guy's just turning into a shark. I had to be like, oh my God, he's turning into a shark, you know? I don't know if that makes any sense. And that wasn't even a spoiler. That's like, you know that's what's going to happen in this book. Read the book. I'm going to recommend this to like everyone. I've recommended this to like 3 people. There's like only a couple people I would like not recommend this to, and it's someone who's like actively going through losing someone with a terminal illness, because this might be a little bit absurdist for them. You know, if you're losing a family member or someone you love, you know, I'm not sure how this is going to hit with you, because this is a bit of an absurdist take on that. But it actually probably would hit very well, but I also don't know. So I would take the caution. But I think that this book is so emotional and so beautifully written. Just read it, get yourself a copy, give it to your friends, make them read it, get in my comment section, tell me why you loved it, because I know you didn't dislike it. And if you did, I need to know why, because I need to bring it up in my book club at the end of the month. So those are my books from vacation. I don't know. I think I'll be reading 3 Dahlias next, which is a murder mystery, or something off that shelf behind me. One of these, maybe. I don't know. Something cute. I need something light after these 2 very like depressing reads. Who knows? We'll see. Bye, y'all.